Welcome to season 2 of Arcane and me redoing this entire video because the last video's audio was completely bad. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what happened. It just happened. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps me a lot. And sit tight because this video is kind of going to be long. Well, we're going to start where we last began with Jinx, launching that rocket to piltovers. And a lot of people died. I don't know all of them, but one of them is Catherine's mother. Catherine's not going to be happy. And also, I thought Mel was gonna die because she was the closest to, like, the window thing. Nope, doesn't die. And I'm like, okay, please explain. And also, Viktor dies, and Jayce, when he sees his, like, lying dead partner's body, he's like, no. And he's, like, running towards his lab, hoping to find something to, like, revive him or, like, fix him or do something. And the hex core is glowing, and so Jayce's big brain move is like, okay, I'm gonna pick this up and, like, set it on you, and it's, like, merging with Viktor until, like, Viktor becomes this big old glob of glue. I don't know why it's a glob glue. I don't know if that's a hex core doing it. I'm pretty sure it's a hex core. And I like how Mel comes in. She's like, oh, how's Viktor? Jayce is just like, still breathing? I don't know. Like, I don't know exactly what this is. I still am completely confused. How did I walk out of that blast without even a scratch, and Viktor is dead? And Mel's like, yeah, I don't know either. I should have died as well. And now we gotta talk about the undercity, because the undercity is like attacking the piltovers over and over again. Like, the piltovers do not have any good security, and it is just ruthless. Like, they're coming after chainsaws with chainsaws, and, like, not even like Jayce and Vi's, like, hex core weapons are doing any effect to them. It's like, it's barely until, like, ambessa, like, comes in, and I'm like, yes, ambessa, you're my favorite character. Like, I know you're gonna come in and you're gonna want something and manipulate someone, but you're still my favorite character. And this is where we, like, learn more about her family, the Black Rose, and they go and kidnap Mel, or ambessa leads the kidnapping with Mel, but I think it's just Mel like, when she activates her powers, it activates the Black Rose to, like, find her and kidnap her and try to, like, manipulate her into, like, join her side, but she doesn't. She passes them. Like, she knows it's not her brother, and she, like, snaps one the next, which I thought was cool. And now this is where, like, I wish in season 1 that they, like, kind of explained or hinted at that Mel has powers, because I know a lot of people say, oh, the goal's significant. Like, I just thought that was, like, the polar opposite of his family, because the families are, like, blood means red and black means, like, darkness and lies. Or being the opposite, like, gold means freedom and being truthful. So I thought that was just, like, the opposite of family. I would have never guessed, like, her having power. This is where I wish, like, after her and ambessa, like, fight against, like, the hex core thing, like, she turns around and says, like, this is where, like, her daughter's, like, the most dangerous threat, and it's not having to do with anything with the hex cores. And now, with Mel being trapped in that Black Rose thing, ambessa's now in charge of, like, everyone, and she appoints Catherine to be general, and I thought that was hype. And also, Catherine appoints Vi to be one of the enforcers, and Vi's like, I don't want to be. And Vi's like, it's just for Jinx. Vi at first doesn't want it, but then she realizes when Jinx is not going to turn back. Like, she's still doing smoke bombs. She's still, like, making everything worse than it is. But I was like, okay, Jinx has died. I need to, like, help out. So she, like, enjoys the forces. And then we got to talk about Viktor, because, Viktor has finally came alive, and he's not happy. He, like, comes out of the cocoon thing, and he's all metallic, and his voice is all metallic. He's like, Jayce. And Jayce, like, wakes up, like, panic. He's like, Viktor, like, and he, like, can't keep his, like, eyes on Viktor. He's, like, searching his entire body up and down. And I was like, Jayce, his eyes are up there. And I like how he gives, like, him a robe, and he's like, oh, you cold? And Viktor's like, no, but thanks for the robe that I will wear and never anything else, because I don't know how to give myself a new pair of clothing. Anyway, Viktor's like, I was supposed to die. And Jayce is like, no, you weren't. Like, I saved you. The hex core saved you. Hemerdonger wrong. And Viktor's like, it's Skilled Sky. And they're just, like, quiet. I'm surprised. Jayce was like, who the fuck was Sky? Because even to me, I was like, oh, yeah, Sky. I completely forgot about it. Like, this is where, like, I think Sky needed, like, more importance. But I'll, like, do another video about that. And he's like, well, and then Viktor's like, well, I must go. And Jason's like, what do you mean you must go? Like, you can't leave. Like, we're partners. We do this together. Like, I'm sorry that I left, but I realized that my place was here with you in the lab. And Viktor says, like, past the verge a long time ago. It was affection that only held us together. And then he walks off. And Jayce is, like, so sad that he, like, sleeps in the lab and hoping that, like, Viktor would come back. And this is where we learn about, like, Ekko and hemerdonger. They're, like, investigating the tree that Ekko lives. And they're, like, taking a bunch of people in. And even hemerdonger says, okay, we gotta stop eventually. And Ekko's like, no, we're not turning people away. But we also gotta figure out what the fuck's wrong with this tree. Heimerdinger's like, this looks something like from Viktor, like the hex core. So they like break into like Piltover. I'm like, why are you breaking into Piltover? Like, Heimerdinger, you're all in the office. Just walk in. No one's gonna give a fuck. And I just find it so funny. And like Jayce almost murders them. And I was like, Jayce. And they're like, no, it's just us. And Jayce's like, what are you doing breaking in? And Heimerdinger's like, yeah, like you haven't done it before. And I just find that cute. And they talk about, like, why the tree is dying, and Jayce thinks it has something to do with him, like, demanding the hex core to, like, revive Viktor. But I definitely know it has something to do with Viktor, you know, tampering with the hex core, or him, like, merging with the hex core. And I also like when they, like, go inside, like, the hex core, like, dome. It's, like, it's connected to the undercity somehow. I forget how to explain it. And when it's, like, traps them in, like, the hex core thing, like, the hex core starts glowing, and Jayce touches it. I'm like, Jayce, don't touch the spooky glowing thing, you idiot. And it teleports them somewhere. Where? I have no clue, but I guess we'll find out later. And now we gotta talk about Catherine and Vi. They're hunting down Jinx, and Jinx has now adopted, like, Isha. And Isha, I knew she was gonna die. I was like, ooh, that child's dying. Because Isha's, like, such a parallel to, like, Jinx, where I was like, okay, this girl, like, oh, like, she's gonna die, or, like, closely die, where, like, Jinx has to, like, carry her to Singe, like how Silka did, and Isha's not gonna be okay. And like people like after Isha, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I know she's like a mind walker or something, but like go get someone else. Like you I know like Jinx is like doing this revolution. Everything was probably gonna be like a lot harder to keep your mind people like under control, but like just get someone else. It's just like so strange. I talk about Sevika. Sevika, like, wow, such a character change. Like, I like how in first season she doesn't care for Jinx like at all. Season 2 completely changes that. She's like, no, we do not like bring in our people. We do not betray them. And she has such a better bond with Jinx. And like Jinx has now like fashioned her a new arm, and I love a new arm. It is such like a Jinx arm, and I just like love that dynamic. It's so cute. Now the enforcers have found Jinx. And Vi is completely just pounding on Jinx and just saying, like, Powder hasn't fully died and I won't let you, like, tamper her memory anymore. And while she's, like, being up, Jinx has kind of given up and saying, like, I'm glad it's you that's killing me. And this is where Isha sees it, and she, like, runs up and she's, like, pointing the gun at, like, Vi. And Vi is, like, completely, like, spooked. And this is where Catherine's, like, on the child murder spree. You know, like, how her brother is. Like, Catherine, stop hanging out with your brother. Whatever your brother does, like killing children, that is not okay. And she like tries to kill like Isha, and Vi like blocks the bullet, and she like goes up to like Catherine and is like, what the hell is wrong with you? Wow, like Jinx and Isha like running away, like that was a child, you could have shot her. And Catherine just like brushes off like, oh, I wouldn't have like missed, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, you could have missed, Catherine. And so they break up. And now back onto Viktor, because Viktor has become godhood. He's like now traveling to the underworld, where people are taking Shimmer a long time, and he's healing people. And he also gets to see Sky, but we know it's not Sky. It's by like the hex core manipulating it, but it's so good. Now season 2, part 2. This is like where I think like a little bit of time skip has happened, not that much. And yes, it definitely needed more episodes. It was like too fast. Now onto like Catherine. Catherine has completely moved on to Maddie, the orange hair chick that no one likes just because she slept with Catherine. Catherine could have said no. And I knew Maddie was going to be a traitor because she like seemed to be pushing an agenda, or maybe it wasn't her agenda or someone else's agenda. Or maybe she just like needed like Catherine to like do this because Catherine was like, you know, had higher power, and she knew like what Catherine needed to do. She just needed that push because Catherine was like staying the same length. And now for like Jinx and Isha, they have such a close bond. Like Isha has like the bunny ears. Also like Jinx has like admitted to Isha like she can be jinx anymore. She like won't be a symbol for peace, and Isha's not having this. And Isha knows like this can happen. Like she needs to be like a force of something good. So she's like going around and they're like rallying like the people up without even Jinx knowing. And this is where Jinx has now found Vander, and Singe has experimented on him. I love how Singe just throws himself in jail. He's like, you know what, the world's fucked and I'm staying here. Thank you, goodbye. And like Catherine's like investigating Singe, just like, oh, there's this weird scientist in the upper world. His name is blah blah blah. And then he left, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of knew this in like the first season. Like I did not give a fuck about what Singe's real name. Like I kind of already knew this. It just like felt weird the way she said it. Anyone else? Weird. Anyway, like Ambessa is now teamed up with Singe, and I was like, yes, best people to like team up with each other. Can't wait to see what the hell they're gonna get up to. Find that. And now Jinx goes up to Vi and says, hey, I found Vander, and Vi's not having it because Vi's not taking a breakup well, but she like still follows like Jinx. And they find Vander, and Vander's like kind of like, you know, kind of lost his mind, but he's like still there sometimes. So they go and find Viktor. It's like everyone in the world knows that Viktor is a healer. Like they don't know it's like exactly Viktor, but they know like someone in from the like there is making miracles. So they go to him hoping that he could heal Vander. And they get there, like they can't bring any weapons and they're okay with it. And like Viktor like searches through like Vander's memories, and like Vander's like animal side is not having this, or like his human side. I don't know which side it is. Like it could easily be his human side because like he's in so much pain from being tormented, and Viktor's like, you know what, this is gonna be a little while, but I won't give up on him. And also like I like how like he and Vi have this, not Vi, Jinx have this talk, and he's like, you know what, you have so much to offer Powder, because he definitely knows that Jinx is reverting back to Powder. And he like says like, you could be like a force of good, and Jinx is like, you know what, I don't want to do this. Like I don't want to be that. Anyway, Ambessa, as you know, shown up with Singe and ruined everything. Thank you a bunch. And he goes up to the monster and be like, well, I need the monster back, Viktor. And Viktor definitely knows that no matter what, like if he heals Vander, like Singe is just gonna kidnap him some way and just torture him more. So Viktor's like, you know what, I'm not healing him just for your messed up fucking plot. Like you can leave. So they leave, and I think Singe like does something to like Vander, like gives him like a more like tonic or something, or maybe like Vander loses his mind again. And so he's like attacking everywhere, and Jinx and Vi like trying to like beat him off or like slow him down or something. And Vander like completely swipes Jinx, and Jinx is laying on the floor giving up. This is where Isha runs in with like the gauntlet with the hex core, and she loads it up too much, and you know she and Vander like die. And Jinx is completely like sad, and Vi's like pushing her away from like the tie scene so they could like flee. Now we must talk about Ekko, hemerdonger, and Jayce. Where did they exactly go? Well, Ekko and hemerdonger are in the same universe with what if Vi's the one that actually died when they got raided like Jayce's apartment for the hex? Because I don't know exactly what happened to Jayce in this universe. Maybe he was like had to like wander off into like the underworld, or maybe he just had a restriction against like the stuff he did, and they just like kept a close eye on him. But anyway, this world's so much better. Like everyone's happy, everyone's alive, and Ekko's having like PTSD because like every time he sees Powder, he just sees Jinx. So he says a couple things that are not the nicest to like Powder, and he realizes he's like he fucked up, and so he like makes amends with her. And then you have this cute dancing scene, and also like they're like testing hex core, and they realize like time travel is a thing. So like yeah, they tamper with that, and he realizes like it's 4 seconds, and while this like beautiful thing is going on, Jayce is having the worst day of his life. Like he has like into this like doomed universe, and like these weird creature thing like spooked him, so he like fell in a hole and broke his leg. And while like he's dealing with his broken leg, he's like scratching along the walls of like the hex core thing. And like he's eating bugs, poisonous water, his legs getting infected. He's not having the best day. And I'm like, you know what, Jayce, you kind of deserve it. But he finally is able to like get out of the hole, and I guess he ran into the like his self, but his self is like all cold with like his hammer, and he like runs into like the wizard that's near it, and the wizard like sends him back, as well as like Ekko, who has now like figured out how to like get back to his own universe. And now for Jayce is sent back and finds Viktor, and Viktor is like has like tubes inside of him, and he's doing the great evolution. And Viktor realizes that Jayce is been touched by the hex core, but unlike Viktor, Jayce is getting like memories, and I can't like gain these weird flashes, like, and I can't seem to get like clue these weird flashes or things he's getting. So if someone else could do that, please send them to me, because I love to like see them all. And he's like, well, we're the same. And Jayce is like, no, you should have been done with hex core, like how I was. Like, I realized that I fucked up. And Viktor's like, it doesn't matter, the great evolution. Viktor and Jayce like, no, I'm sorry. And so he kills Viktor, but he doesn't go for his head. So yeah, and then he like walks off, and he like finds like Mel, and I'm guessing because of his weird vision things, he knows like Mel has powers, and he's like, did you know you have powers? And Mel's like, no, I didn't know that I had powers, before they like get like attacked by this weird creature, which is from Viktor, because Singe found Viktor like barely alive, so he like ties him up with the machine, including with Vander. And he's like, with this machine you're gonna lose your humanity. And Viktor's like, I don't want to quite lose my humanity. Yeah, like I'll be tied up with this tube and like help you revive these people. Also, like, Viktor's entire nation has died. I forgot to mention that. Like, Jayce killed the entire nation. Way to go, Jayce. And so he uses the weird machine to like try to cooperate with Jayce and saying like, oh, let's be partners again. And Jayce's like, my partner died here in this room, like, I'm sorry. And like they can barely stand up to this machine, not with like Mel's entire powers. Like, she could barely stand up with this machine, but they were able to finally kill the machine. And they go and say like, hey, we need to rally like everyone, include the people of the undercity, like we're doomed without them. For Jinx has been captured by piltovers, and she's in this shell, and she's ready to die, and Vi's like trying to convince her like not to die. And Jinx is like, there's nothing in me anymore. So she like completely tricks Catherine into like opening the cell, where she swings Catherine back in the cell and like locks her up. And then Jinx goes and like tries to kill herself. And then like Catherine like comes in to Vi with the cell, and she's like, oh, I knew you were gonna be here somehow. And they have that scene. I'm like, this is not the time. Your sister's gonna come up. And I love it. This is where Maddie came in and saw the scene and be like, you're cheating, a horse and a bitch. I'm not gonna team up with Ambessa and truly kill you all. And now, while Jinx is trying to like kill herself, Ekko has found her and like using the 4 seconds a bunch of times to like keep trying to like save her. And he finally gets to like talk to her and make sure like she doesn't kill herself. Now, because Jayce won't team up with Viktor, Viktor decides to say screw some humanity. And like before like his humanity, which is like portrayed as Sky, he's like, I'll miss our talks. And Sky's like, no, you won't, because you're gonna be a goddamn robot. And like everyone assumes that he's gonna be in this weird egg theme that Ambessa is like completely guarding. And Mel is trying to convince Ambessa like, they're gonna betray you. Like, these people are robots. Like, let us help you. And Ambessa's not having it. And she's like, Mel, just fuck off. And then like she like gasses everyone in the team, and this is where we will learn that Maddie is a spy, and she like tries to kill Catherine, but Mel protects her and again allows Ambessa to like stop this, and Ambessa's like, no. So Catherine and Mel are fighting her, and they can barely even fight her. And Mel makes this agreement with the Blood and Rose group and like traps Ambessa in this weird chain thing prison. But Mel realizes it's deceive and like breaks the chains, which breaks her bond with the Blood and group, and also kills Ambessa. And now Mel is part of the leadership. Now, like, how like most of the majority of the people are dead, Jinx finally shows up with like her colorful colors and decided to help with the robots. I'm like, Jinx, half of the nation is already dead. What the hell are you doing? But like, not even Jinx and our people are doing really ain't good. And now Jayce has figured out where Viktor is. How he figured out where Viktor was, I have no idea. And he's like trying to like convince Viktor that this is right. But Viktor's like, you know what? screw you. And he finally like gets into like the final form, and he is like now taking everyone in these like big old like glowing things and placing it on the foreheads and like making them turn into robots. And this is where like Ekko finally like wakes up and uses his like time bomb, but unfortunately he used it more than 4 seconds. And hopefully this has some effect, because I hate when they just like use like time travel but there's like no effect to it. It's like, oh well, we use time travel, whatever. And I just hate that. So yeah, and he like hits Viktor, and like Jayce like hugs him and shows him his memory of like old Viktor and how he's the reason for like all this. Like he, once he like got older, realized like there is a reason for like people's imperfection. So that's why he like goes around to like different time slots and like give different like Jayce's like different hex cores to see if there's like a different result, because he doesn't want this to happen anymore. He's done with this. He's realized his mistake and he wants like a different outcome. And Viktor like tries to like push Jayce away, says like, oh, this is like kind of like my fault, so you must go, I must finish this by myself. And Jayce's like, no, we're partners, like I promise you we would do this together. So they like share each other's memories, and they get stuck into the hex core where they're gonna be like traveling through different dimensions, making sure the hex core don't become like, you know, where it is now. And now with everyone gone, they still like gotta fight like Jinx and Vi's gotta still fight Vander. And this is where they're kind of like losing very badly, and Jinx decides to like sacrifice herself. And then we find out that Jinx may not be dead because of like the tunnels in like the building. There are ways to like get out, so like Catherine's like still hopeful. So now there are new counselors to the team. Sevika is one of the counselors, and they did this weird name thing. Like Ekko did this weird name thing. I forget what was the point of like the names in the bowls. I completely forgot the meaning for that. Anyway, Ekko's like sad that Jinx is like kind of dead, but he doesn't realize she might not be dead. And practically the only person that got a happy ending is Singe, because his daughter's alive. So yeah, the man who like probably fucked up everyone in their lives, he's the only one that got a happy ending. You see where like this season 2 like falls off. I think season 2 mostly falls off with the battle scene, like the last minute of the battle. That's where it like ramps up a lot, where even I was trying to like figure out what the hell happened. Like, yeah, a lot of stuff does happen in the scene, and a lot of stuff isn't explained, but the worst part with this ramp up was the very end, where they definitely did need a couple more episodes. Anyway, be ready for Friday's video where I keep ranting about J-Fic, because that's all you guys want. Anyway, have a happy day.